Welcome back to our final interview of the day here at Good Morning Austin, presented by BOA Technologies. My name is Dylan Bowman. Last but not least, joined by Kevin Fitzpatrick from New Balance, the Global Vice President of Running and Outdoor. Fitz, I should call you, is my understanding.
Fitz it is.
Welcome to the show. Nice to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Dylan. It's great to be here. Great to be in Austin. Great to, pick up a lot of long-term connections and just see everybody after a year away.
Yeah. How many years have you been visiting the running event at this point?
Oh, goodness. Probably on and off over probably the last decade.
Yeah.
I've been at New Balance for 15 years, in the industry for just about 20. So.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. I mean, it's actually been a theme throughout the day. All of our guests have been at their respective brands for a very long time, with the exception of Steve Doolin, who's brand new at Salomon. What makes New Balance a special place to work, and why have you been there for 15 years?
Yeah, it's a great question. New Balance it's a very unique place in the industry. New Balance has been around for 100 years. We're still privately owned. Jim Davis bought New Balance in 1972 and has really been leading us ever since. So it's just got an amazing culture, all about working hard and playing hard, allowing a lot of flexibility for people to get out into the outdoors, go out for a run, and just really enjoying what this industry and, more importantly, what these products kind of offer us all. So it's a great vibe. It's great. We're seeing a lot of younger associates joining the company now. So there's kind of a new crop of young, fresh talent that is really kind of rejuvenating the culture there too, which is really exciting. And
it probably is fair to say that it's a good place to grow if you've been there for 15 years, and you are now the brand new Global Vice President of Running and Outdoor. Say whatever you want about that, about evolving with the brand, and if it is a good place to build a career.
Sure. Yeah. I joined New Balance in 2009, and obviously a much smaller company back then, much smaller brand. So it's an amazing place to grow. New Balance, like I said, it's a family, and I know that sounds very cliche to say, but anybody that's worked with New Balance people, that's worked in the brand, I think they would say that, and we really mean it. And we really care about associate development, really kind of trying to get people to experience different parts of the brand, so they can be just strong, multifaceted leaders. And that's something, when I started in our performance training group as a product manager. I ran our performance business with Tom Carleo for many years. Recently, I moved into the global marketing division and was a senior director for all of performance marketing. And now I'm back on the product side, leading all of our global running strategy. So a lot of, just great experience and interacting with a lot of great people in the industry. And that's what New Balance is all about.
Holistic experience, a lot of great learning, and now you emerge into this really amazing new role. What does it mean practically to be the global VP of Running and Outdoor? Because one of the things we're trying to do with this show is give people a glimpse into the industry a little bit more, and also show the people behind these brands and the products that they see in the market. What does it mean to be the global VP for New Balance?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm trying to figure that out, so I'll let you know once I do. Yeah, no, I think what it means is it's just getting out there and interacting with consumers and trying to understand how we as a brand can support them in their endeavors, whether that's, somebody that's going out for their first run or going out for their first trail run, or somebody that's just, is really committed to these sports and is looking for a brand that supports them through just building the best, most technical products. I think, the most exciting thing for me in this role, and always in a product role, is we get to interact with consumers every day and we get to use the products ourselves. I always say that, getting a first prototype or a second prototype is like Christmas morning, and we get to experience that feeling every couple weeks, which is incredible. So I feel like we're incredibly fortunate to be in this industry. I got my start working in an outdoor specialty shop for about 15 years. So I was, on the other side of retail. And I fell in love with it very early on, and I knew this is where I wanted to kind of cut my career in. And it's just really exciting to be able to do that. It's so funny. So long.
That has been a theme of today too, is our guests having experience working on the retail side, now on the brand side, and how that sort of helped create an interesting career path. Maybe final question on the brand side before we talk more specifically about trail. One of the things I've always heard about New Balance and that I think a lot of people admire about New Balance is this sort of commitment to manufacturing in America. What can you say about that?
Yeah, this is something that's near and dear to us as a brand, and it's what really, I think, kind of sets us apart from other brands in the industry. We are still fully committed to domestic manufacturing as a brand. We've got factories here in the U.S., we've got factories in Europe, in the U.K., and it's just something that, you know, Jim and Ann Davis, when they purchased the company, they never wanted to see that go away. And so we've been fully committed to it. We've opened up new factories recently, so it's not like we're scaling back. We're actually ramping up. And so it offers a lot of exciting opportunities to just do a lot of testing and learning domestically, which obviously cuts down on sample timing. We're looking at innovation opportunities. So it's an amazing capability, and it's really unique to us. And we're always seeking to understand how it can be a real competitive advantage and how we can bring more into our domestic markets. That's
so interesting, because I think most people would assume it's a competitive disadvantage from a price point perspective. But then as you talk about the accelerated lead times on prototyping and samples, et cetera, it's interesting how you can turn those perceived disadvantages into maybe advantages. And I think it's something that's very cool about the brand.
For sure. So, yeah, and just to add on to that, Dylan, a lot of we've got 4 factories up in Maine. Maine is obviously, you know, an outdoor playground. Yeah. And so it's awesome. I mean, we employ, you know, in some instances, we'll have literally 3 generations of people all working in a factory. And it's just so incredible to go up there and talk to 3 generations of family members who have kind of created their careers and have become part of this family. The stories they tell are just so incredibly inspiring. And I think that's something that just says that, like, we got to keep at this. Like, we owe it to these communities. We owe it to these makers. Like, there's amazing craft happening here in the US, in the UK. And we're a brand that is this fully committed to that for the long term, which is exciting. It's
so interesting. So I have to say, so we've had 2 interviews today that are very similar now, like in that La Sportiva, family owned in Italy, does all their manufacturing in Italy. New Balance, obviously American brand, does much of the manufacturing in the US in both instances. And it was actually off camera where we were talking to Mike from La Sportiva, where he said the same thing, where it's been generations working in the factory, grandfather, father, son, et cetera. And what a cool thing. And those are the types of brands I think that a lot of people like to support and invest their dollars in. Yeah.
Feel a collab coming.
Yeah, collab. Anyway, so coming back to trail running specifically, obviously, you know, we are very trail running oriented here. And when I was coming up in the sport, New Balance was one of the major players in the space. Maybe just remind people who are newer to trail running what the legacy is.
Yeah, we, you know, going back into the 80s, we've got a huge heritage in trail running. You know, when you look at just kind of 90s and 2000s, I think what a lot of people remember from us was a Trail 801. That was a, you know, incredibly iconic trail running shoe. It was built for a trail runner, really focused on end use, and then become kind of a fashion icon. When you fast forward to the mid 2000s, Minimus was another just huge part in our kind of brand's history of just doing firsts in trail running. And that was all athlete driven insight, innovation. It was a really proud moment for our brand. And then, you know, we've got a lot of other great products, the Leadville 100. We had the MT 100 that has become literally iconic and had such a loyal following, and I think probably disappointed a lot of athletes when we got rid of it. But there's a lot of other products I could talk about, you know, for hours. But again, you know, just bringing it back to we're a brand that just is always about driving athlete first mentality. We're always looking to solve problems for the athlete. And that's really led to a lot of kind of our iconic trail products. And, you know, over the last few years, we've had to divest from some areas to like really get focused on road running. And I'm excited that as we move into 24, 25, 26, we're getting refocused on the trail category and the outdoor category. And we're going to have some really exciting innovations that we'll be bringing to market over the next few years.
That's why I was so excited to have you on the show. And just, you know, to add my personal perspective here, yeah, when I was coming up, the MT100, the MT110, the Minimus were just like absolutely iconic pieces of trail running products. They will eventually be in the Trail Running Hall of Fame whenever we start that up ourselves. So in this next generation of New Balance trail and outdoor, obviously we're going to have a lot of people in our audience who are excited to hear what that means. I understand you may not be able to reveal any specific details, but in general, what will you be doing to help re-engage the trail running consumer?
Yeah, I think, first of all, we want to do it slow. We're all about culture at New Balance. We want to make sure that when we enter new categories or come back to our category after a little bit of a hiatus, that we do it in a really calculated way. We want to make sure that first we're thinking about the community and how we can maintain credibility, authenticity, and really go out and support the community. So that's going to be our first effort, is really understanding these outdoor communities where we have a rightful place to partner and support. And then we'll start getting into some of the products. So I think you're going to see a lot of efforts from New Balance, a little bit more endemically, really focused on that trail athlete across all distances, and really making sure that we're delivering the performance products for them, and then start partnering with some of the, these communities and athletes. And then over the long term, we'll start to look to scale it up, but we're not in a rush here. We want to do it very calculated. And again, we want to be a partner. We don't want to just be a brand that's coming in there for a quick win.
Yeah. So we've talked about trail. We've talked a little bit about performance. My wife is a huge fan of New Balance sneakers and lifestyle product. And, sort of the trend of the moment is those three things coming together. Is there anything you want to say just about, the importance of that category as part of New Balance's business, sort of the active lifestyle, outdoor, Gorp core, et cetera?
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously an incredible part of our business. Like I said, I've been here for 15 years. I never thought I'd see the day where you're walking around New York City and every third person's wearing a pair of New Balance. So it's, again, another really proud moment for all of us. We've worked for decades to get to this point. We've got incredible strength as a brand. But again, it all comes back to community. One of the reasons we are doing so well in our fashion business is we really focus on those communities and creating partnerships. Our CMO, Chris Davis, always says we don't enter into sponsorships, we enter into partnerships. And I know that sounds really cliche, but there's nuance there, and that's meaningful. We want long-term partnerships. We want people that share the same values as us. And so a lot of those partners we have in the lifestyle space are really a big part of why we're at where we're at right now. We've got collab partners that we're going to be in partnerships with for 5, 6, 7 years. It's not like we want to just go partner with someone, do something quick, and then move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And that, I say all of that because it's so important when we get into this performance space as well. I think, every consumer has a performance need and they got a fashion need. And those aren't two separate things. And so I think we've got a lot of opportunity to do some really disruptive and fun things in the outdoor space, bring some of those fashion partners in, bring some of our performance partners into the fashion space. So I'm excited for what the future can mean. And we'll work really closely with our counterparts on the lifestyle side of the business. And I think do some really exciting things in the outdoors.
Yeah. An interesting thing that I'd love to hear you talk about that I haven't really asked anybody else is, the channels that you're exposing the brand to, right? Like obviously nowadays, direct to consumer is a big thing, but here at TRE, it's all about the specialty retailer. And obviously every brand has to have a mix between those two strategies. How does New Balance think about direct to consumer versus wholesale?
Yeah, we look at that as a partnership. I think, and when you talk to a lot of retailers, our DTC business can help a wholesaler. Our wholesale business always helps our DTC business. We've seen many cases where when we have a New Balance store in a market, it actually lifts some of our key wholesalers in that same market and vice versa. So we're always looking at, really unique, creative ways of partnering between direct to consumer and wholesale and making sure that we're working together in just kind of lifting the brand for the better good.
Yeah. Maybe as we wind down, what are your sort of like personal responsibilities here at TRE, and what's the sort of the brand responsibility? What do you guys hope to accomplish here at this event?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, the ultimate goal is just making sure that the trade feels supported. We're really committed to running an outdoor space. We're investing at levels that we've never invested in before. We recently launched the Run Your Way campaign in November of 2022. And that's all about just making sure the consumer sees New Balance as an authentic, incredible partner on their running endeavors, whether that's a first timer, an elite athlete, a trail runner, a road runner. I mean, just making sure that they know that we're here to support them and be a good partner with them.
You know, it's funny you say that, you know, like supporting the trade. And it makes me think that, you know, being here, obviously a lot of the brands especially are in competition, obviously, right? But it does feel like there's almost a positive sum feeling here at TRE. It's not like people have sharp elbows out. Obviously, everybody's there to, you know, tell the story of their brand and their products, but, you know, everybody knows each other. Everybody's shaking hands, sharing beers after the show. So it's a fun industry, and it's amazing to be a part of it. Maybe final question then is getting more specific, right? Like, New Balance is coming back to trail, right? We can say that equivocally. Is there anything that you can provide in terms of a timetable? It's like when people might start to see that renewed reprioritization?
Yeah, I think you're going to see it in 2024. And, you know, we say we're coming back to trail. We never truly left trail. Right. Excuse me. But we're getting really recommitted. Yeah. And like I said, you know, we're looking at athletes. We're looking at the right partnerships. We're looking at how we can be much more meaningful in that outdoor community. And you're going to see a lot of those efforts really pick up in 2024. A little bit, like I said, a little bit more endemically. We're going to start with that trail runner. We're going to start with those outdoor specialty and run specialty shops that have a trail business and really want to build it and partner with them. And then we'll, you know, as we look towards 25 and 26, I think we'll just continue to ramp up and ramp up. I'm most excited for some of the innovation that we're working on for 25. I think there's a couple of products that are going to really kind of take some people by surprise. And it's going to be, I think, a really kind of another milestone in our brand's history, which is really exciting.
Very exciting. What a tease. What a tease.
More to come.
Kevin Fitzpatrick, the Global Vice President of Running and Outdoor at New Balance. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us, Dylan. Appreciate it.